Hey everybody, Alex here. I'm so glad you can join me today. In today's video, I'm going to teach all of you how to use an emoji survey to live poll an audience. This video was made specifically for the National Communication Association's annual conference, specifically for the group Great Ideas for Teaching Students. Now, I know some of you may be new to online learning, or you may be new to teaching remotely. I wanted to make this video for you so that way you had an idea on how to make a live poll so that way you can get a class of students to interact. Now, this specific activity is meant to teach students how to critically evaluate speeches, as well as to get live feedback from an audience for analysis, in the same way that we want to teach students in public speaking by getting information from the audience. And lastly, by completing this activity, students will infer how to improve their speeches in their own time whenever they give a presentation and want to evaluate their own work. So let's get started. A couple things to go over. First, one, you're going to make a survey with Google Sheets. Second, you're going to try the survey out and edit the spreadsheet to make a timeline graph. Third, you're going to need to find a speech to evaluate. Now I'm going to find one on YouTube. Fourth, you need to know how to display multiple windows. So that way, as you're remote teaching, as you're running your class on a video chat, you can show students multiple windows at the same time. Then we're going to start the activity. And then lastly, we're going to have a couple of discussion questions that students can have. So with that said, let's begin. So first thing I want to do is make a survey with Google Forms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google Forms. I'm going to make a new form. I'm going to make a one-item Likert scale question that has numerical answers. I'm going to add a couple of emojis to it, and then make it so that way students can redo the survey over and over again, and then copy the link. So let's see. So I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm just going to Google Forms. Aha, top of the list. That's fantastic. All right, I'm going to go to Google Forms right here, and I'm going to make a new form. So I want to give it a title. Let's say Emoji Speech Survey. Now for the question, I want to make one question. And I want it to be Likert scale. How much do you like what you're watching? And because it's on a Likert scale, I want to use something simple for it. So to make it simple, I'm going to give it numerical values. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I got the numbers. But what do the numbers mean? This is where I'm going to add the emojis. So I'm going to make the question required because I want students to have to answer it. And for this answer, I'm going to go to the add image icon right here. But I want to do a Google image search. So for me, 5 is a fantastic, really like it. So I'm going to do love it emoji. So I'm going to, ooh, I like this one. That's a wow. So I'm going to go with that one, and I'm going to insert it. Cool. Now for number 4, I'm also going to add image again. And this time, same with Google image search. A 4 maybe isn't great. They like it, but it's okay. So I'll say maybe it's a thumbs up emoji maybe. And I'm going to keep doing this with all the other numbers. So for 3, I'll say neutral emoji. And maybe I might pick this first one. I like that. I like the little color in the cheeks. So I'll go to number 2. Dislike emoji. Ooh, I definitely don't want to use this one. I don't want to use any bad language, even if it's visual. Let's do the dislike. And then for the number 1, that's the worst one. That's the worst one they're going to have. So let me add that one to the Hate it emoji. Maybe I'll name it terrible emoji. Let's see what I get there. So maybe I'll put this one. Okay, so now I got my one question and I got my emoji answers. I want to make sure, and I made sure that it's required that students have to. Next thing I want to do, I want to go to the settings and change it so that way students can complete the survey more than once. So I'm going to go over here to the settings area, and in the presentation, I'm going to make sure it says show link to submit another response. Good. That's already clicked, so I like that. So I'm going to save that. Now, I want to try my survey out. So I'm going to send it out. I'm going to click on the send button. I'm going to click on the little link icon because I want to copy this link. And I might shorten it so that way it looks a little bit nicer on the eyes. So I'm going to copy it right here. Now it's saved on my clipboard. Just to try it out, I'm going to open an incognito window and submit it a couple times. So I have a new incognito window, and I'm going to paste the form. So this is what it would look like for students looking at it either on their computer or on a mobile phone. Perfect. This is exactly what I want them to see. So as they're watching the speech, if it's like 30 seconds in, maybe they like what they see, so they click that. So they'll click the happy emoji, and then they'll click submit. And I want to try another one, so I'm going to submit another response right here. So I'm going to click submit another response, and I'm going to say, maybe I love it. Maybe it's about a minute in the speech, and I really, really like what I see. So I'm going to give it the love it emoji, and then hit submit. I'm going to try it one more time. And maybe I liked it. Hit submit. So I got my survey, and I've tried it out a couple times. That's going to lead to step 2. You want to test the survey and edit the spreadsheet. So what I just did right now, by opening an incognito tab and then completing the form a couple times, I tested the survey. I know it works now. The next step is to go back to the survey and look at the results. So I'm going to go back to my tab with my survey, and as you see, if I look right here, there are already responses. Those are the ones I made. So I want to take a look at that. So I'm going to click on my responses, and I know that it worked. But this isn't the graph I'm going to use. I want to use a different graph. I want to use a different chart. So I'm going to open a spreadsheet. I'm going to create a spreadsheet based off of this survey. So I'm going to create the spreadsheet. It's going to ask me to make it. I'm going to click create. Now it's opening it up to a different spreadsheet, to a new spreadsheet based on it. So here's the data I have. So what I want to do is I want to make a chart from this data, specifically on the spreadsheet. So I'm going to highlight all this information. So I'll click here, and I'll click here. So now that I have my information highlighted, I'm going to go to Insert and click Chart. Ooh, so look, it comes up with a bar graph. I don't really want a bar graph. I want to make a timeline chart. So in the area of chart type in the chart editor, I'm going to go to Column Chart and go all the way to the bottom. So that way I have a timeline chart. And what this does is that this will let me track people's responses based on a time x-axis. So here we see it looks a little bit funky, but my first response was a like, so that's why it's down here. And then the love it, very big difference between like and love, and then it goes all the way back down to like for my 3 responses. It looks funky now, but if there were dislikes and hate also, you'd also see a greater range of numerical values in the y-axis. So this is what I want to see. I want to have my graph like this. Now let's see what the next step is. The next step is you want to find a speech to evaluate because you want students to try out and to live poll as they're watching a speech. So I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to go to YouTube to see if I can find something I like. just right here from the search box. I'm going to do TEDx Talk, how to sound smart. Okay, so I think I got something right here. Let me take a look. And I like it, I've seen it before. And luckily, there are closed captions. So students who have hearing disabilities in any way will be able to read what's being said as well. So I really like this one. So I'm going to save this right here. So I got my survey, I have my spreadsheet and my chart, and I have my video. Now I got to think about how do I want to show it to students during a remote class. And this is where step 4 comes in. You got to know how to display multiple windows. If you're watching this video, you're looking at my video with one window open, just my internet browser. But I want to have multiple at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag one of my tabs out, and I'm going to minimize the tab and sort of drag it to the side. So now you see, on one hand, I got my video on one half of my screen, and then I have the survey, or I could even put up the chart on the second half of the screen. So in terms of displaying two windows, I got what I need. The next thing that I want to do is I want to run the class remotely. You can use any video chat platform you want to. I am personal to Google Meet because it does auto captions and it's really easy for students to join, but you can use Zoom or any other type that you use. So I start my meeting, I start my class. I do a couple things from here. Now, when I start the class, I want to make sure that my students have my survey. So I make sure that I have the survey copied to the clipboard. And as the class is going, I might paste that into the chat box. That way students can open it up. Because you want to make sure that students not only have the survey open, but that they also can view this screen. So I'm going to open a new window and put it to the side. So with this, I'm going to put this back in here and move that. So in the same way you see that I have my video on one side and there's a copy of the survey on the other side, this is what students should have displayed on their own computers. For me though, because they're going to complete the survey as they're watching the video, I want them to see what it looks like as the polling is happening. So I'm going to take my chart slide and put it to the side. So that way, as the video is playing, as they're watching it, they can complete their survey. So let's say, for example, they're at this part of the video. They could just type in their answers, keep completing the survey, and then you'll see the chart move around because it's live, because we're live polling. I'm going to move it over to a quick clip of how my students were completing their survey. So this is the time where you'll see my students completing this activity.
Here, I'm going to give you a couple more numbers to consider. 18, 237, 5,601, 2.6 million, 4, 24, staggering. These are real numbers, all of them. And to follow that up, let's take a look at some graphs. Now, if you take a look at this pie chart, what you're going to see is that the majority far exceeds the minority. Everybody see that? Cool, isn't it? And let's take a look at this bar graph because it shows similarly irrelevant data. Now, I'm doing this because I'd like to make it seem like I've done my homework. If you were, say, watching this on YouTube with the sound off, you might think, huh, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. But I don't. I'm floundering, panicking, I've got nothing. I'm a total and utter phony. But
okay, I'm back. All right. So now that the students have had a chance to complete the survey, one of the last things I want them to do before the class ends is I want them to talk about what they had. So as they're sharing it, this picture sort of shows you what my students were doing with it. And this is a really quick screenshot of just the video playing on my side as the survey was being completed, as a live polling. Now at this point, in order to have a discussion going, I want my students to take a look at this chart. Clearly this chart has a couple of lows and a couple of highs. I want to give them a minute to just take a look at it, and to try to interpret what were the highs about and what were the lows about. So one way I might have my students foster discussion is I leave the chart open and I tell them, you just take a look at the chart and I want you to answer these questions. What did the peaks mean and what were those parts at and what made them good? And like, what were the really low parts? Like, what were the worst parts of the speech? Because I want students to consider what they liked and what they didn't like and why. Why did most people agree on the likes and the dislikes? So this is a good time to have students analyze a graph, analyze a chart, to take a look at a presentation aid and evaluate and interpret its meaning. From there, they might talk for a couple minutes about it, and then afterwards, I want to do a follow-up with them. I want them to think about their learning. So the last thing I want them to do is I'm going to ask them a couple simple questions. What did you learn by participating in the activity? And how could you use this to improve your public speaking skills? And then from there, you let students say whatever they want. And lastly, voila. That's how you can use a live poll with Google Forms and using emojis to get students to participate in a remote class. Thank you so much for watching this video. Happy teaching. Bye.